Well, that were the final notes from the Kibworth Band conducted by Dave Holland, given their programme year at the 2016 Bolsover Festival of Brass. Kenny, as you can see, we've lost one person on the settee. Chris Thomas has gone out and about. He's our roving reporter. He's gone with Fozzie. So somewhere in this area, there's a camera crew.
We'll be stuck on the M1 somewhere, no doubt. But we're hearing from him soon.
Traffic reports from them. From there. First thing I'm going to say about that one there. Great to see a euphonium play, a sartorial elegance. If you're going to play top hat, white tie,
touch of class, yeah, absolutely.
Even at the cane as well, wasn't it?
I was just waiting to see a bit dancing around there, but we never quite got that.
Yeah,
but, fine player nevertheless.
Better Fred Astaire, that's what we want in contesting. So we've talked about Kenny, all sorts of bits and pieces throughout the day. So we've decided to segue into something different.
This could be dangerous. Can I just say that?
This should come with a government health warning. I'm going to say this one, but we're going to talk about, over our long careers, distinguished careers of not winning any major championships.
You look more and more distinguished every time I see you, I have to say.
Yeah, it's the highlights, just grey for men, that's what they call it, but it's getting grey by the moment. Back over all the years of entertainment contests started really in Britain, but it was early 70s.
71 was the first Granada,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we're going to try and think of some of the great memorable, the iconic performances, and possibly some of the iconic disasters, which there's bound to have been over the years as well. But tell us in your experience over the year, you've been involved with Brass in Concert, Granada Band of the Year. We all used to go up there and make the trip up. What were some of the iconic performances that stood out for you? The one that really stood out for me, I've got to say, was Groundthorpe without the conductor. When David James came on the last couple of hours, I don't know when it was about
that was 85.
85. That was
a game changer, really, wasn't it? That was them kind of announcing we're going to do things a bit differently. This contest is stepping up a bit. Suddenly a band came and done a whole programme without any music, and it had been especially created just for that performance and things.
Steve Sykes did them.
Steve Sykes did the Lucerne song to open, actually. He finished as well.
The audience just did not know.
Nobody knew what was going to happen. No, and it was sensational in its time. And if you go back, it's still on YouTube. If you want to go back and watch it, it's still there. It looks a bit dated now, it's got to be said, but you've got to remember that was like the first men flying to the moon in brass band terms. Nobody had ever done it like that before, so it was absolutely sensational. And remember, a year after that, Desford of course came in, and this will maybe come up in a minute, because Desford came on with Stephen Mead. Anything you can do, we can do better. So again, Howard Snell just being that wee bit smarter than everybody else, wasn't he? So, but had to get the equaliser, and Grimethorpe had started it. There was a time round about the mid-80s though, and great things were happening in that type of contest, both at Brass in Concert and at Granada, when Howard had Desford and then Foden's at the same time.
In many ways, they weren't overthinking it, would they? They were just thinking to themselves, I tell you what, somebody's got a bright idea. Is that the good, the bad, and the ugly stuff that came out?
Look at it.
Those type of things were just drawn out somewhere, and they would originally, if somebody tried to do it now, as you say, it would just look like pastiche, so dated, and that part of it. Following on from that, though, we'd actually joined at the present time by Simon Greswell, who was the conductor of the Enderby Band, who would be playing here in the first section competition. But it was someone who has got vast experience as a B-flat tuba player. He's played with Black Dyke, Brighouse and Rastrid, YBS, you name him. He's worn the uniform. Must have a cupboard full of different jackets back home. He wears it. Have to return them some days. I'm going to do that one. So Simon, congratulations on your performance today.
Thank you.
Over the years, you've sat some of the great B-flat tuba players. Jacko, of course, the great man at Black Dyke. What do you remember about entertainment contests? First of all, when you were growing up as a player.
Well, when my first entertainment contest was at the old Rothmans. And I remember I did it with Hammond Sauceworks with Geoffrey Whittam. And I remember starting with Hawaii 5-0. And the distinct memory from that contest was that I couldn't see any of the audience for the smoke.
Those are the days, and there was like a fog about it.
Well, it was in a cigarette factory, so they were living up to the name, weren't they? So.
But that was one of the things that we talked about the cigarette factory. When the players came off stage, they used to have these lovely ladies who were dressed up in the Rothmans uniform handing out free cigarettes. And they used to have the old blokes in the band used to knock us youngsters out of the way. They said, out of the way, sunshine. And they put their hand in, go away with 200 fags there. They used to smoke all the way back home to South Wales in the bus. No wonder I got stunted growth. That's what it is. So you remember playing with Hammonds. Were you wearing those lovely beige uniforms?
Yes, we were.
In those days? Whatever happened to those?
I'm very proud of it.
Is that how hanging on the wardrobe beside the rest?
Following on from there, then you played with some of the great bands. What were some of the highlights for you personally of performances?
Well, the main highlight for me was following that Grimethorpe programme when I was a member at Desford under Howard, and he came up with anything you can do, I can do better. And I thought it was a good bit of cheeky fun. And we really enjoyed it. And we had a cracking programme that year. And it was, like I say, it wasn't overthought. Howard had this great belief in keep them clapping. Nice, short, snappy pieces, keep them clapping. And of course, when Stephen walked on, they didn't know what was going to happen. And we just did this thing, and there was 5/8, 7/8, and all sorts of different time signatures thrown in there. Mainly because Grimethorpe had done things in bog standard time. So we changed the game a bit and put some 5/8s and 7/8s in there, made it a bit more difficult. It was great fun.
Were you at YBS as well when they did a programme all without music themselves?
Yes,
what was that?
The River Dance.
It was Cry the Kelp.
Cry the Kelp. It was a suite, wasn't it? They did
Yeah.
There's like a full thematic suite that they're all without music.
Yeah.
So
There's an interesting story behind that because we'd been rehearsing for weeks without music. Apart from really, I've got to admit, those double B players had them about that big on our bell. But anyway, we were rehearsing without music, and David King still got his scores with him. And it was me who actually said, David, no music. And he felt a bit unsettled by that, and he had to learn it all without music himself. So
you're a brave man in them days, you were to say to David King in those days, like,
yeah.
You know, try and do it without music, Dave, if you don't mind, you know,
Yeah.
for the rest of us.
To be fair to him, I've known many a time go on to a contest, he'll open his score and move the pages for 3 pages, and then whoever picks the score back up, they used to say it was still on page 3. So he did get used to it.
Oh, I think it was
Yeah.
on the mind there. Going back to you then, Kenny, we talked about some of the memorable ones. The list of infamy.
Oh,
Infamy. They've all got it infamy, as they say.
I know, and unfortunately my old band has been featured on that list once or twice as well. At that, certainly since the contest moved to the Sage, brass and concert at the Sage, but there was one minute work, you know, it just, yeah.
That was
I
it.
think the least said about that, the better, actually.
I've got to admit, there was one, I always remember, they did the Officer Krupke, wasn't it? That was
Yeah, from West Side Story.
From West
Yeah.
Side Story, which had the best like transatlantic Scottish Glaswegian accents with the policeman. It was like Sean Connery in every
It was,
film that he's in.
yeah.
Sean Connery is a
Untouchables,
Russian, or the Russian
that's-
sailor. He's still
that's the
from
one.
Glasgow.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
James Bond from Glasgow.
There was a
It's
particularly bad Bumblebee once as well. Do you remember that? Only the piece that they were playing was a Green
Green
Hornet.
Hornet. But he turned up with a bumblebee running around the stage. I got to admit, the one for me was a nameless band played Scheherazade, or selection of Scheherazade. You remember the Yeovil contest?
Yeah.
They were there at the Yeovil contest, and it turned around. For the Flight of the Bumblebee, they actually used a laser pen on a black background, so you couldn't see it. So that was not one of the greatest moments that they've ever had in the entertainment contest. So we'd like to hear from you on hashtag #FestaBrass what your 5 most memorable entertainment programs are, and your 5 possibly infamous ones. Next band on is the Chapeltown Silver Band. They play in Prismatic Light, Carnival of Venice, a cornet soloist Ben Jowett, Mac the Knife, Shepherd's Song, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So there's a very varied programme there under the baton of Andrew Dennis. So without further ado, I think it's about time that we went all the way back to the hall where Simone Rebello is waiting for us.